a meeting talking about your mom.
Yeah, we did.
About, having compassion for her.
Mm-hmm.
She's addicted to
painkillers
or something.
No, it's all the medication she takes is what she's supposed to be on because of everything in her head because she had a rough childhood. But I just feel...
So it's all like basically...
It's what she needs. It's like legitimate, prescriptions she's been given by all of her doctors.
Sure.
Just frustrates me because... And now that I'm learning, I felt like she could cope with so much of it without the medication because there's so many side effects of the medication. I hate to sit around them, but then again...
Yeah, but it's her decision if she feels she's capable of coping. Because ultimately, when you deal with addiction or trauma...
Which
if it's trauma-based, so it's like... No medication will get rid of how you perceive that trauma.
Right.
So,
and that's
it's a matter of if she does not feel capable of feeling past trauma, she's going to want to numb it with something.
And that's it, because
it's psychological.
Did try to deal with the trauma, and then that led to the addiction, and so it's like, at this point, I'm kind of like, what is she treating? Is she treating the addiction, or is she treating, her childhood that led
Probably
her
all
to...
of it.
Probably.
So did you go home and give her a big hug?
I did, and now I'm trying that when she, cries, and instead of me being inconsiderate and being like, what are you crying for? There's nothing wrong, which I was like, unfortunately now I'm like, well, what's making you cry? What is the worst part of your situation that's going on in your brain that's bringing out, the sadness? Because there's, there's every emotion with her, but when it's sadness, that's like her peak. Like
that's when she feels
the worst. If she can handle her anger, she can handle so many of her emotions, but when it comes to sadness and she lets the tears out, that's when I know she's got something going on in her head because she doesn't cry often. So, but yeah, I'm working on dealing with it better. It's going to take a lot longer than I think because I've been inconsiderate probably for too long.
Well,
just due to my childhood and what my parents put me through, I kind of just
go deal with it, move on.
Exactly.
Well, and when you're dealing with someone who's been enabling themselves to ignore the problem, it's as if she's 12.
Right.
And because she won't move from it. It's defined her life. It's that's all she thinks about. Something that happened decades ago is so traumatizing that it literally, she will not let go of it. Because she's afraid to. That's the fear of it. And the craziness of it. It's something traumatizing when you were young. You can hold on to and define your life by it. Even though it's the worst thing, you wouldn't want to do it.
Right.
But every time you run from it, it literally sticks.
Right. And sometimes I'm, empathetic as far as I understand why and how it's bothering her. And then other times I feel it's more of a crutch for her for certain situations. I just feel like she kind of uses it to her advantage, some of the things, but...
You think she's
malicious?
I'm
trying to learn with it.
You think it's malicious?
Slightly. But
yeah. And some of that, and if it is, it's not your problem.
Right.
But anyway, so the stress level, remember you came in, you're like, I'm so freaking stressed. My kid, 14-year-old.
It probably hasn't changed the stress level any, but
well, how are you
my coping
perceiving
is much better. When I find myself stressed out now versus being incredibly angry and sitting around everybody and letting them kind of feel my aura, I will take myself upstairs, do some homework, jump in a hot bath, just kind of, make myself in solitude just so nobody else has to deal with my...
Oh my God.
Issues.
Isn't that is such a, you are so wise. It's like PMS. It's so real, but when you know you're PMSing, it's like, you just shut the hell up.
Yeah.
You don't, it's like, your fuse is short.
Right.
So it's not, the fuse is the problem. It's too short.
Exactly. Very much so.
So you do just remove yourself and you stop blaming
it's just
other
better
people.
That way. Exactly.
Well, it's just, Okay, so how have you done on the protocol?
I feel like I'm doing fabulous. I am following, I barely eat. I think might be an issue, but...
Well, let's talk about that. Do you have any symptoms? A lot of people are afraid of hunger, and they don't understand, how this works hormonally, but obviously if you're feeling pretty good, your energy is great, you're not having symptoms of, you're not so hungry, or you've gotten to the point where you feel like you have low blood glucose, you don't have, which you would know because that would bring about incredible, you got it. None of that. Are you getting your protein in?
I do egg whites for the most part because the chicken...
You're having a meat aversion?
A little bit, but I can still get some in. I can still get some meat, and it depends on the chicken and how it's cooked, but grilled chicken I can do.
Isn't that funny?
But I do
Yeah.
my eggs, and then, I probably do like a piece of fruit a day, only
Okay.
one, and then vegetables are more or less if I'm in the mood to eat still, but
Yeah.
I haven't been.
Oh my God. Well, you sound really good.
Thank you.
I mean, what are we videotaping here? I mean, I'm like, I want the trauma.
Right.
No, but you know
there
what?
isn't any right now.
Sometimes it's so nice to. Well, there isn't any. Even though nothing's changed in your life, a lot of it is.
I've changed.
Why make this such a big deal when ultimately the worst case scenario is by far worse than what you're experiencing?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of what can you tolerate. Did you get that from that conversation where it's like, really, this is competition. Really,
Right.
this is hard for you.
Mm-hmm.
Really, let's find something worse.
Right.
And you're like, no, thank you.
Right.
I'm okay.
Right.
But when you think of it that way, it's like, well, then count your blessings.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
And thank God you don't have someone that's, a child that's ill
Right.
or that you're dealing with a major illness. You've got your health, you've got your sanity.
Part of it.
You do.
Part of it.
And when you're all done with this whole thing, I mean, honestly.
I think life is going to be drastically different.
Well,
on
it's
so many levels.
It is
already
beginning,
right.
And it doesn't happen when you lose the weight.
Mm-hmm.
That's the crappiest. I mean, honestly, isn't that the biggest line of bullshit you've ever heard? You lose weight and everything's gonna be better.
Yeah, no, not realistic.
No, it's like really because your mom's gonna all of a sudden miraculously come out of her depression.
Exactly.
And your 14-year-old's gonna go get a job and get her own car and pay for her own insurance.
Yeah,
and she's
That
gonna
won't
have a
happen
full
losing
ride
weight.
scholarship.
Right.
None of it, So
Mm-hmm.
it's like it really is about, changing the way you're viewing it. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like how I showed you. I don't know, what did I have? It's like you can see it from this angle. Which
Mm-hmm.
angle do you want to see it from? And I always say, well, which one's the happiest? Well, go to that one next. So you kind of have to. It's the same thing. Move it around and
Mm-hmm.
look at it from a view that's like has gratitude always
Right.
always thinking the angle that there's I can be grateful for this.
Right.
So then you're in charge of your happiness, not what's happening in your life. So
Right.
it's all an illusion, because ultimately when you put together who you are and your relationship with anything that's happening, even if it's a relationship with your mom and your children, who you are hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
It's just the way I am perceiving everything.
yeah,
Within
it's
my
all
life.
a freaking mirage.
Yeah.
It's like, and the problem usually arises when you get ego, when you think something outside of yourself is making you better, and on the other side, when something outside of you can make you worse.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually where people make the biggest mistake. It's like assuming that the false front that is seen, heard,
Mm-hmm.
all of that is a part of your reality, and it's not.
Mm-mm.
It's all just like a game.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, cravings. How are cravings?
Very few and far between now.
Where are you on your menstrual cycle?
It's incredibly irregular because I'm on Mirena, so
Okay,
ever
yeah,
since I
Mirena.
started, it's whenever it comes and goes.
Got it. Got it. Sometimes it's a lot easier when someone actually has their period,
Mhm.
just because you actually get to know your cycles, you get to know your body at different stages, in the luteal phase and all of that. Energy is good.
It is, except for I don't know if this is entirely unrealistic because I know regardless of skipping Sunday's injections, obviously it's still within your body. It's not like it just
Yeah.
diminishes overnight, but when I skip Sunday's injections, I notice it to be my most sluggish day, kind of.
Interesting. Okay.
Yesterday,
well, if
I
you
wanted to
don't-
take a nap, and I don't nap. I don't know, it's really weird.
Well, I'm wondering too if Sundays are a day that you obviously don't have school. You don't have. Is that when you're like,
And that
oh
is the
my
day
God, I'm crashing?
My son's dad is like 100% because he works Monday through Saturday, so maybe it's that too. Like
It
Sundays are
might
my
be because your hunger,
Usade.
your hunger would go up
okay.
if
no,
it
that's not the
wasn't
problem.
so. But it could be. I mean, thyroid is it getting affected by the HCG and its influence on leptin? So are the adrenals, but
Okay. It could just be it's my relaxed day, so I'm taking advantage of this.
And you
I'm
should.
gonna go take a nap.
I like that.
It could be.
Sex drive.
To be honest, it is getting better. It was horrible
How much of that
during
is,
pregnancy and after pregnancy,
and so you're kind of feeling the itch again.
Mhm.
Okay, so how much of that has to do with you're just feeling better
I think
about
it's
your
all.
body, and there is something changing as far as the inner sex skin?
I don't know. I think it's all. It's there again. That's all I know. And it wasn't for a long time.
Temperature?
Unfortunately.
You cold?
No, I'm hot all the time.
Wow, okay, that's a reversal.
And it's, well, here, I won't say all the time. Nighttime, when I get ready to lay down at night through my mornings, I don't even know. I guess I'm hot way more often than I am cold. How about
Now.
that? Yes.
So it's
No, I've always been.
okay.
I'm
So
sorry.
you haven't. Okay, I want you to start like recognizing your temperature
Okay.
because it should be cooling down.
Okay.
You should notice that if you're not cold, you're not as hot as often.
Okay. Yeah, because but I've always been such.
Well,
Ugh, I don't
just
know what
you
it's
need
from,
this
but-
hormonal. You need to check your temperature. I mean, you'll notice that you're starting to be a little colder.
Okay.
You know. Could you not be the easiest patient ever right now?
I don't know. I'm
No.
sure there's easier.
No cheating. Well, a lot of it too is okay. Let's get some chaos.
I don't want
Are there
any.
trials? Do you have any parties to go to?
I do. My nephew Aaron's son. His
Okay.
birthday party is this Saturday.
Be prepared.
so-
I want you to go in your mind thinking I'm about to witness American Blood Day. We're gonna shove some
I
cake
had to do
in
it for my
everybody's
son's
mouth.
birthday. That was the third day of the low calorie.
Yeah.
It was my kid's birthday, so
Any
it was
weddings?
like
Do you have any weddings you're gonna go to? Barbecues.
We do it all the
We
time.
got Easter coming up.
we barbecue like twice a week at my house, so it's like, nah,
Okay.
I'll eat my chicken. You guys can
Are
eat
you
the
getting to the point where
cheeseburger.
food is just like, really? Why was it that important?
I am.
Where
And it's
like
a
what
lot
hell
of
was
the
I thinking?
nasty, more of the nasty stuff that I used to just indulge in, like the fast foods. And like today I took my mom to get Arby's before I came out here, and she's like, I'm so sorry to do this to you, and I'm like, it's fine. Like, she's like, I know it's so hard, I could never do it. And I'm like, at the beginning, that's my mind frame, like, I'm not going to be able to do this. And just slowly as days go on, I'm just like,
Yes,
I can do
good.
this.
You're
We're doing
detaching.
it.
It's really detaching emotionally from the food. And in order for you to be able to think intellectually with food, I can't tell you how important this is.
Mhm.
Thinking intellectually is nutritional value. What's in the food? Could it influence my body? How does it affect me? That's intelligence. There's no doubt that that's important. However, if you have emotional attachments to food, none of it matters.
Right. Yeah, I can see
Because
that.
it doesn't matter. I've seen people who are very intelligent and they binge all the time with intelligent food. And they come
And
in
that's
here
'cause of their
fat
attachment.
and they're like, I don't know why I'm fat. I'm eating all organic, gluten free. And I'm like, hello, you're eating without hunger. Well, yeah. I eat breakfast all the time. I'm not hungry. I'm like, okay.
That's a problem.
And I have dinner. And then at nighttime, I save this. And I'm like, oh my God. They're literally fantasizing about this delicious, healthy food. So they've justified binging on healthy food.
But
And they
regardless,
don't.
it's not.
No, it's justified because it's healthy. Well, it's healthy, so
Why not?
so funny. My dad, for example, my dad who loved cookies, he would buy, and back then it was non-fat, the biggest thing, and I remember thinking that's disgusting. They're way too sweet. They were really gross to me. But he would eat an entire thing of sugar or non-fat cookies because they were non-fat. And I remember looking at him going, he doesn't get it. And I couldn't say, obviously it was my dad, and I was like 14, and he would have
Right. How are you trying to tell me?
the 14-year-old going, anyways.
Right.
So, I think the detachment from, the fast food and it comes in two ways, detaching the guilt and bad and judgment of it is important emotionally. Because, if you look at it intelligently, you're probably right. But emotionally, if it has the potential to make you feel bad about yourself, that's got to go away. So the next time you go to Arby's and you're hungry and you want to eat and you order something, you shouldn't feel bad about it.
Right.
Do you see where, and then intellectually you just have to know, okay, well, I'm eating something out of quick convenience. Next time I should pack, or maybe look at the menu and you can make a more intellectual decision.
Right.
No emotion attached.